The Anyone But Cam Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome to the episode of the Anyone But Cam Fantasy Football Podcast. I am one of your hosts and one of your commissioners. My name is Frankie, and sitting across the internet from me is Cam. Cam, how are you doing on this Friday evening?
Yeah, this week has been excellent. Nothing awful or tilting has happened at all. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm fine. No, you're freaking out, man. No.
Hey, I had a great Tuesday night. It involved a lot of pacing, but it worked out for me. That game was nail biting to say the least. But I was always able to rely on the single best player in the history of football or sportsmanship to ever exist, Alvin Kamara. Thank you once again, Devin, for gifting him to me. And yeah, Cam, another loss for you, man. This is just they're really just tallying you up.
Wait, what do you mean by loss?
I don't know. What are you talking about freaking out for? You won big. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Pyrrhic victories, my brother. Pyrrhic.
Maybe we'll get to why your team, why you're losing hope. But yeah, other than that, Cam, are things all right with you, or are you just in a perpetual state of tilt?
Okay, well, I guess we'll get into it now. I tilted for a solid 12 hours. And then I came to the nirvanic conclusion of, he could have had a season-ending injury. We still don't even know what's actually going to happen. It's fine. I'll get over it.
It's fine. Yeah, maybe you will, maybe you won't. We'll find out. And that cough means that this is still another edition of the COVID episode, so hopefully my voice isn't that bad.
COVID in 2020?
Okay.
Come on.
I know, right? So yeah, we'll start as we always do with the waivers from this week. The highest bid item, the hot ticket, of course, was a Mr. Chase Claypool, who none of us was rostering, who I wasn't even rostering. That's shocking. But Logan spends $115 of his fab on him. That's a lot of money. Overbids Tyler at 100. It's not a big overbid there. You do have people like Devin and Dylan who put $0 bids on, which is, I'm assuming they just forgot to change the dollar amount.
I think they were just hoping that no one bid on him. Because Dylan has no money, doesn't he?
That might be accurate.
Yeah.
He has $0. Yeah, that is, as opposed to Devin, who has 48. So yeah, he wasn't winning anyways. But that was the big one. And then the next biggest one was Travis Fulgham, who might be the best receiver in the history of football, who goes to Jake for a very nice $69, outbidding Tyler by $15 or $17. Tyler just barely getting outbid.
Both times.
Both of these. Yeah. So it sucks to be Tyler.
Yeah, it sucks to have $270 of fab and still not be able to buy anything.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate, actually. And then Jake, as he noted here, really wanted 80, which is fair enough. $23 of fab. Can't harp on him too harshly. That man is an every week floor play, very safe player.
Yeah, but I mean, he's been on the waivers basically whole season, and nothing changed in his situation. So I don't know why he thinks all of a sudden he'd be a hot commodity. Come on, Jake.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And then you noted that the last big item for the week would be the Jets backfield, which is also true here because Tyler finally did get one of his guys, spent $57 for LaMichael Pirine. Looking for some high upside there from a questionable backfield. I instead decided to go with, was he the fourth leading rushing of all time? Frank Gore, Mr. Reliable, Mr. Floor Play for my one bye week. And it is really funny that last week you were like, but what happens, Frankie, you only have three running backs. What happens on bye weeks? And I just completely neglected to realize that this week was the bye weeks you were referring to. But yeah, I know that LaMichael could play really well this week, but if one thing's true in fantasy is that Frank Gore is a snap siphon, a carry siphon, and so I think he'll be just fine for me.
If there's one thing you can believe in, it's Adam Gase giving carries to a running back that should not be in the league anymore.
Okay, sure, I'll take it. And yeah, let's go, Cam. Lead us through some of the highlights from last week.
Yeah, so Jake Logan stands tall as the only undefeated team, toppling Lassie in a basically last-minute victory thanks to Jonnu Smith's final touchdown, and Josh Allen doing just enough. He then, therefore, still has the try-hard chalice, which I'm sure he covets very dearly. Another victory that came at the last second was you over whoever you beat last week. Doesn't really matter.
I beat Levi last week.
Oh, poor Levi. Yeah, thanks to Alvin Kamara just being a god, as we often have to admit is true. And then Dylan had not a last-second victory, but avoided a last-second loss to Will Lutz, who did pretty good, 17 points last week, thanks to Tyler bringing back an oldie but a goodie, Frankie, the Ben McAdoo Award.
I'm gonna coach this team until I'm told I'm not coaching this team. So, gotta show up. Gonna show up tomorrow morning, ready to go to work.
For those who might have forgotten, that's for excellent coaching decisions, which maybe aren't actually excellent and should get you fired, such as picking up the Cowboys defense just for this week and then not actually playing them over the Chiefs defense, who got you -6 points, and you lose by 2 points, Tyler. That's a rough one.
A slight oversight.
Yeah, logistical errors come back to haunt you.
Yeah, I think was last week that Logan said that he deserved it, but no, this is the week that somebody deserved the Ben McAdoo Award, which, like as you said, it started as an award for making a bad enough start sit to lose, and in honor of him sitting Eli Manning, and then losing his job. But yeah, congratulations, Tyler. You have the Ben McAdoo Award. You're still 3-2, so you got that going for you, I guess.
Yeah. That's about
Cool.
It was a thrilling week last week. What can you say?
It was a thrilling week. It was a fun week. Yeah, those are our highlights from last week. And let's just jump right in to talking about matchups from this week. And we will start, as always, with our matchup of the week. And Cam, it's not nearly as clear this week as it was in previous weeks. But I see you've written something here in our show doc about a protest.
Yeah, there's no screaming deal for matchup of the week out here. No undefeated teams going up against each other. Bye weeks also put a little strain into this decision. But what we do have is winless Jacob Pond out here. And I demand that until he wins a game, he will be in the matchup of the week every single week. So that way, we can ensure that once he does win a game, if it does ever happen, we will capture it in the highlighted portion of our podcast, the most important part of this league.
Yeah. Hey, fair enough. I mean, in a landscape full of kind of blah matchups and bye weeks are really hurting some teams. I think highlighting a team that is, starting from the bottom, and hopefully at some point we'll be able to say, now we're here, non-sarcastically.
Yeah, and I do think there are some interesting things in this matchup. For one, Dylan is still starting our man Logan Thomas. And Frankie, off the top of your head, where do you think Logan Thomas ranks among tight ends this season in standard?
Because of the way you phrased that, I'm gonna guess he's somewhere in the high 20s, maybe.
28.
Okay.
And that is Dylan's only tight end, and he is still starting him in a matchup that is red on Sleeper. So go off Dylan. But, he does still have Mike Evans, who has scored a touchdown every single week. Even 2 in the 1 week he had 2 yards. So go Mike Evans. But Chris Godwin is coming back, so maybe he won't get in the end zone this week, but I'm not going to bet on that. And then Dylan also, after losing Nick Chubb, his only Brown he can rely on is Odell Beckham, who is questionable this week because he was sick, and he goes up against the Pittsburgh defense, which is not great because, as we all know, Odell Beckham is not as talented as Travis Fulgham, so he's probably not going to be very productive. And finally, Dylan has both the running backs going on Monday Night Football. So he does have some hope there with Zeke and Zeke's talent equivalent Chase Edmonds both playing Monday Night Football. So as you can expect, this could be a high-scoring matchup. But on the other end, you got JP and Dylan maybe starting Logan Thomas, which isn't good. But JP out here in the year of our Lord 2020 is still starting Robert Gronkowski, Frankie. And we're going to go back to
I've been saying it every
it.
week, Cam. I've been saying it every week, and here we still are.
Do you know where Rob Gronkowski ranks in standard among tight ends?
Oh my god. How many tight ends have played football this season? I think he's near the bottom. I'm going to guess mid-30s.
32. So yeah,
32.
there is at least one tight end per team in the NFL that is better than Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, a lot of teams with 2 tight ends.
Yeah. So, JP, brother. You got, oh, God. And then the other good part of JP's team that isn't looking so good this week, he's got Robbie Anderson, the backbone, going up against Chicago, probably his hardest matchup so far this season. But he does still have Myles Gaskin as a lead dog, thanks to Le'Veon Bell sadly not going to Miami. And James White came back from his tragic car accident thing. So that's good for JP. But, most importantly, I have a recognition of something that has happened in our league, Frankie. You want to hear it?
I do.
Jacob Pond is the new and improved Logan Roth in our league.
Oh,
He has Robbie Anderson. He has the Miami running back. He has the best Jaguar wide receiver on his team.
Oh, no.
And his team is lined up perfectly to make a run in consolation, getting Christian McCaffrey back, and then just going off.
Oh, no, Cam, what have we done? There's a monster was created beneath our noses.
All that needs to
yeah.
happen is Logan loses to you and JP beats you, and we'll know for a fact Logan is no
my
longer
God.
the Logan of our league.
Hey, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. If Logan's more competitive and JP takes his mantle, hey, that's fine with me. Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's some investigative journalism right there.
But most importantly, and finally, this matchup is my upset of the week.
I'm upset. Louder! I'm upset. Louder! I'm upset. Say it louder! I'm upset.
JP's getting his first win over 4-1 Dylan McKinnon. He's going down.
Interesting. Yeah, and predictions have it close. I think that's a good call for upset of the week. It's the 2 teams who aren't that affected by bye weeks at all.
Yeah,
So,
the only
we'll see
bye
them
week in
on fire.
here is Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah.
And JP's going to beat Dylan at basically full strength. It'll be good.
Dang. Alrighty. And Cam, that's a great matchup. Even though we're just highlighting for JP, I think that's a good matchup. I don't want to talk about this next matchup. This
boy.
next matchup makes me want to fall asleep. It's going to be Cam versus Greg. All right. First of all, rest in peace, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We'll see. The process. The rest of your team is in matchup heaven. I'm annoyed how good they are. My only note I have on your team of anything that stuck out to me was hey, look, remember when I was like, hey, DJ Moore is gonna have a good week this week? He did. Touchdown dependent. Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, other stuff going on your team. You're missing your leftist king this week, which is unfortunate to buy. But I mean, your roster looks really strong all around. Yeah, I mean, it's the only like person I don't have full confidence in to do like really well is probably Jonathan Taylor, but we'll see. And this your team looks fine. Like it's not your team isn't inherently boring. What the boring part comes on Greg's side.
Yeah.
Greg can't roster a team if Sammy Watkins isn't playing. He doesn't have enough players not on bye to play this week on his roster currently.
He even already can't, right? Because Dalvin Cook.
No,
wait,
he
no.
can
All right.
throw in Mostert in, but if Sammy's missing, he can't. He doesn't have enough players.
Oh God.
So that's very sad. This roster blows without Dalvin Cook, and it's dead on arrival without Lockett too. Like it's not good. My only positive note for his roster is, Travis Kelce. That guy's pretty good. In a year of higher end tight ends disappointing a bit, we'll get to that later. Or some, not all of them, obviously, but some of them. Travis Kelce is still holding that perennial number one spot.
Mm-hmm.
So good on him. This projection, I mean, Devin isn't. I mean, sorry, Greg doesn't have a replacement for Dalvin, obviously, and he doesn't have his roster set up properly yet. And like I said, he can't if Sammy misses. But even then, like the projection bar is like 94% to 6%. We can just go ahead and call that a 100 to 0 at this point. Like I don't know, man. There's just no way.
Let's hope. If I lose to Greg without Dalvin and Tyler Lockett after possibly losing CEH for the season of competency,
Yeah,
I'll just commit roster suicide, man.
yeah. Good idea. I would.
Yeah.
I would too. I think everyone should if he loses to Greg this week.
Yeah. 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 Sorry, Greg, but everyone, when they have bad buys and injuries, is gonna have to lose eventually. Moving on, though, we have another, what I'd like to call bipocalypse of you, Frankie, versus Devin. Also known as the matchup where teams don't believe that RB depth matters.
Why would it?
Maybe it's because your decision for your RB2 this week is Frank Gore and Benny Snell.
I'm sorry. Do you mean future first ballot Hall of Famer Frank Gore?
Yeah, I also mean hasn't scored more than 6.7 points on the season, Frank Gore. But
Now he's a
go
starter,
off,
Cam. What's to be unclear?
So much. Le'Veon Bell hasn't played a game since week 1.
I know. It's so sad.
Yeah, but good news is you'll have Chris Godwin back, which means you're gonna have the very thrilling decision of sitting one of Will Fuller, Devontae Parker, or Cooper Kupp. So
Yeah.
one of them will have to be on your bench while Gore is in your starting lineup.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting because like Fuller, Parker, and Cup are all around the same ranking so far this season. They're all around that like high teens to like I think Cup or one of them's like 20. I think Fuller might be 20 or one of them is. But they're all like super close. So I'm just gonna have to be playing like matchup and like I'm gonna have to like look into like who's covering them specifically I think this week and think about that because it's like Godwin's back finally in a not great matchup. And then I have these 3 players who I don't necessarily want to bench.
Yeah, I mean, you can't bench Parker because revenge game against Gase. Come on, he's going to go off. Can't bench Fuller because you can never bench Fuller. And you can't bench Cup because it's Sunday Night Football and you want to be able to root for him.
Yeah, the problem is like it's like with like Fuller he's so high upside and he's on a touchdown streak. And do I bench him while he's on a touchdown streak?
You got to mango
no.
down. All right.
Okay. I'm not starting Godwin this week. That's what I've learned tonight.
Nope. That's a bold choice for your second round pick, but it sounds good. And then finally, you're starting Kirk Cousins, which that's exciting. Oh boy.
Hey, you say it like that, but I'm just gonna say one word a couple times. The process. I mean, this is a
2
great
words.
week for him. He's been okay. I realized that as I said that, but he's been serviceable to good most weeks. Save for one really bad week. But it's a fantastic matchup, and we have the emergence of Jefferson and Thielen there, the like wide receiver number 1 overall or number 2. Like I think it's good.
Yeah, because they won't just be able to run the ball against Atlanta, Frankie.
Well, Dalvin's injured and Madison's good, but he's not Dalvin.
Anyways, moving on to Devin. So you are forced to start Frank Gore, whereas Devin gets the excellent opportunity of starting Leonard Fournette. And note about Leonard Fournette, outside of 1 week where he scored a long touchdown, he has 12 carries for 20 total yards. That's let me do some quick math on that. Really bad.
Yeah.
Real bad. That's what Greg could do if he was put behind an NFL offensive line.
Oh, come on. The Greg could do better than that.
I've seen him out on that flag field. Oh yeah. And not just Leonard Fournette, but he's also starting Tim Patrick, Trey Burton, and Christian Kirk. All people that could be on our waiver wire, and I don't even know if people would want to pick them up.
Nope, not me.
Yeah, so that's where Devin is with Russell Wilson, Josh Kelly, Michael Thomas, and DK Metcalf all on bye. Yeesh. But Devin's got some defense and special teams that's going to carry him to victory. Graham Gano, Jason Sanders, kicker flexing it up. Do you know how many points both those kickers scored last week, Frankie?
No, why don't you tell me, Cam?
Over 20, I can tell you that much, both of them.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so many points.
And the Patriots defense going up against Drew Lock, maybe. Ooh, that's some spooky stuff right there. Oh god, I just
Not great.
noticed you're starting the 49ers defense against the Rams.
No, I'm not. I don't, I'm not. I just haven't got a defense yet. Leave me alone.
There's no point to hold them. You can pick one up now.
Okay.
Yeah, so Devin's maybe gonna go to 2-4 if kickers can do really good, but I'm not gonna bet on it.
Yeah, I mean, this week it could very much go either way. I'm hoping it goes my way. That's my analysis.
If there's any week that Devin has an excuse to lose, it's when all of his good players are on bye.
True. Alrighty, let's move on here to the next matchup we have, which is going to be Levi versus Lassie here. A couple just quick thoughts. Levi isn't even starting Julio Jones currently and is still favored to win. So that's a pretty good sign. I wish I could have that. The Stafford to TJ stack has been pretty good so far. And well, it's been good so far. It could be great against a Jacksonville defense, which is very vulnerable. And it's a great start this week. Other positives for Levi is that both Ronald Jones and Dave Montgomery are both playing better than I would have expected so far this season. I think maybe that's probably very true of Ronald Jones for a lot, considering what we thought the situation in the backfield was going into the season. Mm-hmm. Montgomery's been playing fine as well. Yeah, they both have good matchups as well. We have to see, like, it's a different world in Dallas when we talk about people like CeeDee Lamb. That's just a wait and see about that. And of course, Devontae Adams every week has potentially the wide receiver one. Coming back from injury, I know he was like very frustrated he didn't get to play a week ago, coming off bye as well. But yeah, any week he could be the wide receiver one easily. A lot of good stuff from Levi. And then the last big point, though, is the Madison factor is huge. He ran very well against Seattle. Lots of teams have run reasonably well against Seattle, but he ran really well against them. He's run well before. He's definitely a talent to be sure. So that's a huge swing in Levi's favor if he can kind of put up a Dalvin-esque week this week. I look over at Lassie's roster and I ask myself, Cameron, is this what running back depth looks like? Aaron Jones, Derrick Henry, Devontae Freeman, Damon Harris, Singletary, Pollard, and Cam. I'm saying, if this is what our running back depth looks like, I don't want it. Yeah, just kidding. It's actually really good. But yes, that's a great stuff for Lassie in that department. Also, his receivers are looking pretty good. I mean, I talked earlier about Thielen, who is wide receiver number 2 overall. My apologies. I think I said number 1 earlier. It has a week against Atlanta this week. We talked about that. It could be great. I hope it's great for my sake. Edelman hasn't been a great start so far this season, besides for that one game against Seattle as well. But you could do worse for wide receiver 2, I guess. Ebron, any week is pretty touchdown dependent, but could have had a much better week last week if he didn't fumble like a dummy. And then we look over to his flex spots. Here we have Devontae Freeman, who's a reasonably safe floor play. Yeah, he gets he runs for 3.5 yards per carry. He's been doing that for years now. It's just kind of what he does. But Brandon Cooks is a super volatile ceiling play, so I like that little balance on his flex there as well. My last note on Lassie's roster here is I wrote as a slight joke, but I might believe at this point that Zach Ertz is droppable. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Jeez. Poor guy.
I mean, he's really not, but he's the tight end 15 on the season. Has scored a total of 6 points the last 2 weeks combined. It's not good by
Look,
any
in
means.
a league where people are starting Logan Thomas and Rob Gronkowski, Zach Ertz is gold. All right, that's all I'll say.
Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to count out Lassie in any week. I think Levi is probably the favorite here. With the big X factor being how things change for CeeDee Lamb. But I could definitely see this going either way. And also, Levi could always he's probably just going to sub in Julio for CeeDee Lamb. What am I even talking about? Anyways, I'm picking Levi to win this one.
All right, you say he's subbing in Julio for CD. My man, if he doesn't sub in Julio for Marvin Jones,
Oh, yeah.
he's
I forgot
gonna
about Marvin.
lose,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
the one thing I know about my favorite football team is that if you are relying on both Matthew Stafford, T.J. Hawkinson, and Marvin Jones, there's no way you're going to be happy. All right, the Lions are not going to make anyone feel happy about them after a Sunday.
Yeah.
Levi, please.
For Cam's sake, Levi.
For your own sake, too. Don't believe in them. It won't work out. Speaking of not believing in people, Justin this week is playing against Jake Logan.
What does that mean?
It means you look at Justin's lineup. All right, let's just take a second, breathe it in. Melvin Gordon both had a DUI this week and is sick, so he's questionable for this matchup this weekend against New England. If Melvin Gordon does not play, there is less than one running back on Justin's team that would possibly see a snap this weekend, and that's Giovanni Bernard versus Indianapolis. Okay? You have 2 running back spots. You have half a running back to fill them with, Justin. Okay? And, what's the point of even looking at the rest of his roster after that? Like, Stephon Diggs and Deebo Samuel are fun. Dalton Schultz is cool, I guess, and Michael Gallup, I like him as a player. You have 2 kickers on your team, but you're not kicker flexing Justin. That's fine. It's rough, dude.
Yeah, I mean, you told me to breathe it in, and I immediately coughed. I think that's an appropriate response.
Yeah, I think the best way to describe Justin's team is to look over at his opponent, Jake Logan, our undefeated leader of the league right now, and see what he's doing, all right? Jake Logan has Kareem Hunt and Miles Sanders on his team. On his bench right now for Adrian Peterson and Phillip Lindsay. Now, given that might actually be the right choice because Kareem Hunt's going up against Pittsburgh and Miles Sanders going up against Baltimore. But that's Adrian Peterson and Phillip Lindsay. You're not doing that if you actually worry. And then, his wide receivers, Allen Robinson, Tyreek Hill. That makes sense. But then if you look at his tight end and 2 flex spots, you might notice something, Frankie. It's that the first one, Jonnu Smith, tight end, Tennessee. All right, that's in his tight end spot. His flex spot, Austin Hooper, tight end, Cleveland. Okay, that's in his flex spot. Kicker flex spot, Robert Tonyan, tight end, Green Bay. My man's running out there with 3 tight ends. Do you want to know what he's doing for that? He's putting Amari Cooper, Miles Sanders, and Kareem Hunt on his bench. He doesn't have a defense. And if I'm Jake, I'm not picking up a defense. He's currently has the memeiest lineup he can, and he's still favored to win 73% to 27.
Yeah.
So, the only takeaway we can have from this is I think this season we should move to a vampire league. Frankie, do you know what that is?
I have no idea what that is.
A vampire league in tradition starts out like this. You have 12-team league, 11 of them draft. The 12th team gets their entire team from the waiver wire. And as the season goes along, this 12th team, if they beat any of the other teams, gets to take one player from their team.
Ooh.
So, my suggestion for the league to consider is we turn Justin's team as of right now into that vampire team. And if anyone loses to him, he gets to take one of their players. Because you deserve that.
It is crazy how he's not even the worst record in the league.
Whew. Yeah, so that's
okay?
a matchup.
You need to like fan yourself off.
Look, I'll admit, I'm not a big reason why Justin's team is good. Okay? I maybe have done some trades that honestly didn't work out for either of us, but it's fine. I did give him Aaron Rodgers, who is not starting, but Aaron Rodgers is really good. I wish I still had him. And he's, yeah. Anyways. But I feel bad for the man. His house is almost on fire, and now this. Yeesh.
Yeesh, indeed. Yeah, I mean, this game, like I talked earlier about your game being boring, Jake's making this game interesting. I gotta appreciate it. Alrighty, let's get into our last matchup of the week here, which is another high-flying matchup. We have Tyler versus Logan. Let's start over here with Tyler's side, because he does have the single best running back in the entire league, maybe in the history of football.
Lamar Jackson?
Mike Davis. Well, is Carolina just the best like running scheme in the league? Are they past KC now, or is Mike Davis just that good? I don't know. You think I'm watching Panthers football games? I'm not. But that's good for him. But looking to his RB2, he is starting Swift this week, which is interesting. Hasn't been great so far this season. Got some protection through the air 2 weeks ago, but they kind of bailed him out. He does have P. Ryan, though. He did bet a pretty penny for him. So that's definitely an option. I think that's something he probably will be considering near start time. Looking at the rest of his team, he has the regular guys. Calvin doing well. Keelan Cole as wide receiver 2 could do worse, could do better. Judy and Boyd, these guys, yeah, I guess some kind of gross starts. I don't love. Although Boyd's been good this season. He has Blankenship, locked and loaded. He can ride into victory most weeks. And then you have Higbee, who's touchdown dependent in his tight ends, but most tight ends are at this point. My last point on Tyler this week, other than just being an overall solid week for him and looking projection-wise, is that Lamar Jackson is droppable. We should really just move on. Quarterback 11, not even good.
Good.
Yeah, I should really change my name from I Miss Lamar. I don't think I miss him that much anymore. Looking over to Logan's side, he's doing pretty well this week considering his bye situation. Losing his starting tight end, his starting running back, and one of his flex receivers in Mike Williams. But for all that, he's still looking pretty hot. And a big part of that is the acquisition of James Robinson. It's really been great for him this season. Kenyon Drake, I said last week, is going to find the juice this week, or the week coming up against the Jets. He found like a juice box. He didn't find all the juice. Found a little bit of juice, but hopefully he can continue to find some momentum and build on that. DJ Chark, I talked about. Higbee, touchdown dependent. DJ Chark this season so far has been touchdown dependent, which is very sad. Injuries suck, and so do the Jaguars. That's unfortunate. Other notes on his roster, besides for, I guess his last big notes would be on the Steelers receivers, starting both Juju and Claypool. Juju, who's been a bit disappointing, hasn't had wide receiver 1 production generally throughout the season, which is kind of to be expected. They have a lot of targets in Pittsburgh. I don't know. In most games he plays, he is pretty typically double covered. At least has some kind of shadow on him. Things could change this week. We saw what Claypool did. It might be an overreaction to say that, but having both of them in, especially with Deontay Johnson being out, going up against Cleveland, one of them is going to pop off, I think. I hope. And the other one could have a decent game as well. So there's a huge amount of upside for them in that sense here. I think it's a good game overall. I think both sides have some really good matchups and some really good opportunity. Probably going to give a slight favor into the Logan category just because I like his running backs overall, maybe slightly better, and flex over a little bit better as well. But yeah, this one could super go either way. This is going to be a great matchup to watch, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm on Tyler's side here. You look at Logan's team, and there's not a single person that I'd call a difference maker, besides maybe James Robinson. Whereas Tyler's got Lamar Jackson, who can be, Mike Davis, who has been this whole season, and Calvin Ridley, who definitely can be. So, 2 out of 3 of those guys pop. Tyler's winning this.
Yeah. I could definitely go either way. Cool. That was our preview for this upcoming week. And Cam, I don't believe we had any mailbag questions this week, so I think that's about it.
Yeah. It should be an interesting week, to say the least.
Yeah, should be. Alrighty. Thank you all for listening to another episode of the Anyone But Cam Fantasy Football Podcast. I have been Frankie.
And I am a devastated Clyde Edwards-Helaire owner.
And we will catch you all next week after Le'Veon Bell becomes the overall running back 1 on the entire season. See ya.
That would honestly be sick. Bye.